Hi there, welcome to my views and news. Thank you for watching the channel. Firstly, an announcement after around an hour, I'll be back with this week's first live chat at 1800 GMT usual time. I will start the live chat or announce the topic of the chat at the start of the live stream. So hopefully you'll join with your questions and comments. Back to this video, which is exclusively about the Amhara region of Ethiopia. I have received exclusive information from the region, which I want to share with you. Some of you might be aware of it, but I think majority of you would not be aware of it. I got this information after extensive discussions with the people who are close to the government. So people might accuse me of disclosing government strategy, but I think it's not new. Some of you might be aware of it. In Tigray, when war erupted, you saw that the Ethiopian federal government put a tight siege around Tigray. That siege was deadly siege. People were deprived of access to basic necessities of life. Access to food, access to fuel, access to communications, everything denied, businesses shut down, uh, migration from Tigray to other countries, displacement to other regions totally halted because it was under siege. And gradually, the siege started working. When war broke out in November 2020, TPLF had tremendous support. Tigray military had tremendous support in Tigray. But during the third round of fighting, I remember in 2022, before November 2022, it became increasingly difficult for the Tigray military, TPLF, to convince people to continue the war, to be part of the war. That is why we uh, reported cases of conscription in Tigray military. Why? Because people were fed up. They were tired. They were suffering. They had lost the will to fight because of continued siege in the Tigray region. And still, there is no thirst for war in Tigray because of the devastation which the war caused. When you analyze the situation in the Amhara region, it seems that the Ethiopian federal government is implementing its Tigray model in the Amhara region. What does it mean? Uh, Amhara is not under siege. Tigray was under full siege. How can we say that the siege tactic is being tried on Amhara? Amhara cannot be put under siege. It's a large region. All of its borders cannot be fully manned. That's practically impossible. That is why this type of siege, the type of siege we saw in Tigray, cannot be emulated in Amhara. But government is trying Tigray model in Amhara with some change. Federal government wants to ensure that in Amhara region, a time should come when Fano wouldn't be able to find any support. That Fano won't be able to get any recruits. That people would be just sick of Fano's arms struggle. And for that, the government needs to ensure that This conflict goes on. Government continues limited military operations and business activities, educational activities, healthcare activities are severely affected in the region. This is what has been happening in Amhara in the last 2 years almost. Businesses closed, international businesses closing down their outlets in Amhara. Local businessmen fleeing Amhara region. We are receiving reports of about hundreds of local businessmen who have fled Amhara region. International companies fleeing Amhara region. I can quote you some names too, but I think you people know, or we shouldn't get into details, but this is what is happening. Schools closed. I did a video a few days ago. I told you about millions of students being out of schools. Healthcare sector suffering. Uh, People in some areas died of hunger. In Bugna Wareda, you heard about it in recent months. Government is using force to crush Fano, but it is not trying to put Amhara under full siege. It is continuing military operation while letting Fano carry out its attacks to basically destabilizing the entire Amhara region. Government ideologues, they think that soon, very soon, a time will come when Fano will lose support in the region. People either will rise against Fano or they'll stop supporting Fano. Then Fano groups will be frustrated. They will start using force against people. That is how people will turn against Fano. It's a very interesting strategy, by the way. There are some signs in recent days. I reported about tension between farmers at Fano 2 days ago. Farmers complaining they're not being allowed to buy fertilizer by Fano fighters. Fano fighters want them to buy fertilizer at reduced prices. Government selling at higher prices. Government would like the issue to continue because government would like the conflict between Fano and farmers to continue, to aggravate. Teachers, schools closed. Fano warning against opening of schools. Those teachers who open schools, they are targeted by Fano fighters. Some teachers killed by Fano fighters. So what government planned, things are progressing towards it. While Fano fighters have managed to survive, Fano groups have managed to grow bigger, stronger in the last 2 years, the lives of the Amhara region's people have been severely affected. Will they start saying no to Fano? This is very important. This is what government is waiting for. It is not talking to Fano. It talked to Ola. It does not want to talk to Fano. It is trying to take the matters in the Amhara region to a level where people distance themselves from the Fano fighters, like it happened in Tigray, partially. But in the third round of fighting, people were not willing to fight. Even now, if Tigray military, TPLF, wage war on federal government, thousands will flee Tigray. And some fled in recent months. You saw that when there was danger of war in Tigray in recent months, people started fleeing Tigray. Why? They don't have the will to fight now. This is what Ethiopian government is waiting for to happen in the Amhara. Obviously, it cannot happen in a few days or a few hours. Government working on its strategy for the last 2 years. It tried to crush Fano militarily, it could not. Then it decided to wait. It decided to just keep Fano under check, let the region be stabilized, let the people suffer, then people turn against Fano, and then maybe at that time government will intervene in a manner which could be decisive in the action against Fano fighters. Fano groups will have to be very careful. I think they are falling in this trap. Continued instability in the Amhara region, continued challenges for the survival, economic survival of the people of the Amhara region will cost Fano. Fano will have to ensure that they don't lose support of the people. But the way they are resorting to force and violence against some groups like teachers, like students, like government officials, the strategy could backfire and the people of Amhara could be forced to stop or partially stop their support for Fano. This is what government is waiting for, reportedly. You won't see any talks. You will see military operations one after the other, but no full siege, no large scale military mobilization. You would see continued destabilization of the Amhara region and then economic challenges, collapse of people economically, and then maybe some movements backed by the government against war. Thanks for watching.